We're Batman at 89.
Hello, and welcome once again to Batch Minutes 89, the podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and plummet downwards into the never-ending darkness that is Tim Burton's Batman movie, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts.
That's staying in.
Niall McGowan.
I am one of the other hosts. I am John Parker, and I am here to grapple the listeners and deliver them to the safety of knowledge and understanding.
But today we're joined all the way from Indiana Jones Minutes by Pete Mummert.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited. Happy to drop in.
Oh, that was good.
And it was specifically assigned you this minute because we know about your well-documented love of watching Jack Nicholson hang off things. So you were in luck.
Don't we all? I mean, it's getting me going.
And to that end, I guess we should say that minute 114 begins with the Joker kind of caught in a tight spot here. And it ends 1 minute later with Batman's grappling hook struggling to find purchase. So, and actually, not to get into a spoiler for what happens in this minute, but this is a pretty big one. This is like one of the big moments of the whole movie. So,
as we start the minute, though, I really love, because obviously we're back in the action, and Joker's clinging onto the ladder for dear life. But I love the goons going, come on. Because I have two problems with this, right?
Yeah.
First, he's obviously stuck. Like he obviously can't just clamber up the ladder. He's not being a jerk, is he? And second, like if they don't think he's stuck, couldn't they just fly away with him dangling there anyway? If he's too scared to climb, just fly away. Just take him.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty shocked by their demeanor. Like they're kind of being pretty bossy pants here with him. Like they're ordering him up the ladder.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that they either think he's not going to make it, or else, and they're just taunting him. Or I don't know, because it doesn't seem like if they would talk to him in that manner that he'd be very pleased with them if he does make it up the ladder.
Yeah, everything we've seen of this guy, he's going to be punishing those guys later on.
Yeah. And they're not like, oh, come on up, sir. Can we help you up? They're just, come on up.
Well, when you're in danger and you've got to save your boss, you've got to give him some tough love.
Maybe, yeah.
I guess maybe they had just heard about Bob, and they're like, "Oh my God, what? He killed Bob!" And I was like, "Oh, better go get this asshole." So they're really like, "This is them." Is like, "We have no time. We are not in a good mood with you, sir. Like, come on."
But yeah, I was wondering about that, John. Like, could they have just flown the helicopter like 5 feet and let him drop off onto the top of the building, and he would have been fine?
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense than just sort of hovering there for about 10 hours going, come on. When, again, he's clearly stuck. What's he supposed to do? He's trapped.
Well, here's a question, though, that's up for a lot of interpretation. Is that, like, what is Batman's intent here? Like, did he do this knowing that this would inevitably lead to the Joker dying? Is this, like, pre-planned, this is going to kill him? Or is this like, this is just any way to stop him? Like he's thinking, maybe if he lets go of the ladder, he'll just like swing down, bang into the side of the cathedral and just be left dangling there, but still alive. Kind of very similar manner to the Joker in The Dark Knight, actually, the way he gets taken out. Or is he always thinking, no, even if that happened, he'd swing into the side of the cathedral with such force, it'd probably kill him anyway. Or that like, there's no way he's going to be able to, like that helicopter will take off with them, and he might get stretched and like broken in two. But, whatever he's thinking is like this is definitely going to kill him in some way.
So there's no chance he's trying to save his life. There's no chance he's like, hey, I'm going to wrap a cable around him for protection.
No,
not this Batman. Batman doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
Plus the facial expression he makes as he's shooting the thing does not belie a man who is like, oh, looking out for this man's protection. He's very much like, you son of a bitch.
Originally, I thought, he's trying to just trap him so he can get him. But the more you were going through that, Niall, the more I was thinking, like this guy is the prototype for the Saw movies. Batman's just putting him in a kind of unwinnable situation. He's going to be ripped apart. He's going to smash into the cathedral. He's dying in a horrific fashion one way or another.
Well, if the Joker had just let go of the ladder and kind of swung down and dangled from the side of the building and maybe pulled himself up, would he have actually lived?
Yeah, actually, that would make a lot more sense. I mean, it's not like big enough a drop to kill him, is it? He could get back onto the ledge there.
I don't know. Like, would he be able to get back up, or would it be like how dangling upside down underneath this thing, maybe like a couple of feet away from the gargoyle? Mm-hmm. I don't know if he would have like particularly this is like, keep in mind, this is a 52-year-old man.
That's
who's
true.
not in the most trim of shape. Like, he could be like struggling to even kind of to reach his feet, basically.
Although I figured this gargoyle has to be at least 100 pounds, or I guess 45 kilograms, whatever you want to say. And that seems like a minimum. And he's holding on to the ladder and carrying that around for a while. It seems like he must be it seems like these guys are all remarkably strong.
It's those chemicals.
Yeah.
It hasn't just made him crazy. It's souped him up.
No, there gotta be a good twist if it turned out now he discovers that he has like super strength as well, and it's like, holy crap, I didn't realize I was this strong. Oh, I could have been doing a completely different Reign of Terror if I'd known how strong I was.
Well, Pete Nile is under the assumption, for some bizarre reason, well, he was as a child, that the Joker is a robot. So,
I like that.
That would explain the super strength.
Hey, technically part robot, okay?
Okay, part robot. Okay, fine. Cybernetic organism.
Well, speaking of robots and kind of that universe, is the gargoyle a Twi'lek?
Whoa.
Oh.
I didn't even think about this. Hang on, you've blown my mind.
It's got
me, like I'm just thinking like pre-Horn Shop Hellboy, but like, yeah, Twi'lek totally works as well.
See, I researched one of the other gargoyles, but this is different to the one I was talking about the other week, isn't it? Now, Sid.
Yeah.
So I tried to research this one, and I didn't get any information, sadly. But
this is Sid's girlfriend, Nancy.
of course, it's Nancy. Yes. Well, in my research, I genuinely didn't know this. I'm sure our listeners probably do. I'll sound stupid. This is not a gargoyle.
Oh.
I know, right? Yeah, this blew my mind. Now, gargoyles are used specifically in a hidden form to make water flow away from the building and down into the street. So they're like a water funnel. This is a grotesque.
Wow.
I know. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah.
And when I was researching grotesques, I found a really interesting one. Because there's the Chapel of Bethlehem in France, strangely. In the early 90s, a sculptor, Jean-Louis Boistel, I think, decided to replace the crumbling gargoyles and the grotesques and whatnot with pop culture icons. So he put up Gizmo and a gremlin from
nice.
Gremlins. Yeah, and there's a xenomorph from Alien. And I haven't heard of this one, but there was a robot from an anime, UFO robot Grendizer.
Oh, no. Unfamiliar with that. Sorry.
No. Maybe that only was big in France. It was to. He called it a geek chapel idea. That was his thing. It was like, let's get the kids into the church. Yeah, that was
cool.
Like, how long ago was it though? Because like pitching like
Gizmo,
like Mogwai, Gizmo, the kids now is a bit like, well, the second movie that's like nearly 30 years old.
Well, it was the 90s. It was the 90s. But there's another one as well, actually. There's Paisley Abbey in Scotland. That has a xenomorph on it as well. There's a trend of xenomorph churches. What's going on?
I'm sure Geiger must be very happy with that as well.
Yeah.
Although I will say, like, I actually did notice just before we started filming, like, chopping through like the minute, the files. I spot something I don't think we mentioned last minute, is that once you see like the thing that Batman's hanging on to, it actually has a very phallic-like spout coming out of his mouth. But I'm guessing that makes that is a gargoyle then, because that's obviously a thing that's designed for water to run through it. And that's off the thing.
I think that'll be the gargoyle then from my research, because I think gargoyle it means something like throat. So it's meant to be the throat of the building, spewing water forth.
So if you ran into Keith David, the actor, and then you brought up the hit TV show that he was in, Gargoyles, would you be like, Keith, are you aware if your character in any way like helped get water off the building? Because I just need to know that he actually was a gargoyle and that you've not bought it. You and the whole show didn't buy into some sort of giant fallacy that's been corrupting the world for years now.
Let me just say, when I started doing a podcast, the last thing I expected to hear about was that show.
Well, to be fair, with Batman, I would have assumed gargoyles would have come up eventually. So.
Okay, maybe in general, but you know.
Well, it's interesting. In German, the word for gargoyle is Wasserspeier, which is like a water spout.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, bloody hell. We all should have been aware of these.
Yeah.
This just means now, though, you've doomed so many people at, like, anyone listening to this show at parties for the rest of their lives to be like, did you know that what you think of a gargoyle is not actually a gargoyle?
If there's one thing I wanted to achieve in life, that's it.
Well, I was curious if you guys have been to Bologna in Italy. I watched this. I was watching this yesterday, and my wife and I were in Bologna a couple of years ago, and everybody in the Middle Ages used to build these giant towers that'd be like 20 or 30 stories high, but it was just a square room, and they look exactly like the inside of this cathedral tower. And like with this, even with the stairs that just go up and up and up, and it's just these rickety stairs that go around the outside of the room.
Oh yes, I love it. I love
and you
that
can
whole
drop
look.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And then you get to the top, and all it is like holes to shoot arrows out of, like shoot the guys in the tower next door, because it's like neighbors would fight each other, and it was pretty amazing. But it was like I love this whole cathedral thing because it seems very grounded in a real place.
Oh yeah,
even though it's
it looks
obviously
amazing.
yeah.
Now, I want to bring back this idea of shooting your neighbours, not in a fatal way. Just put that out there. I think it should be commonplace to have like a Nerf war with your neighbours up a tower.
Absolutely.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
But speaking about the grotesque, as it were,
Uh-huh.
let's say very flimsily attached to this to the cathedral, because it does come off very, very easily. Like it's, you think that thing, like, I guess maybe you could be like, oh, it's hundreds of years of like wear and tear. It's like, yeah, it'll just fall off apparently. But
That's what I was thinking. Like, is it the rain and things like that? But even so, as you said earlier, Pete, actually, it must weigh a lot.
Yeah.
So even if it's old, I can't see that just snapping off because the Joker is hanging on it.
Unless that cable that Batman shot up there is like diamond, like wrapped in diamond fiber or something, so it'll saw through it.
Now, my research did not reveal if that's the case, but that's my headcanon from now on.
Although that would also saw through the Joker's ankle, so I'm not sure if that works.
oh yeah,
And that makes it even more like the movie Saw.
Oh yeah,
Probably
there
like,
you go. There you go.
Or the Audition. You guys have seen Audition? Like it's like a Japanese film, isn't it? Where like it's really spoilers for the end of Audition, but like this guy trying to meet a new wife, and then he meets this lovely young woman, and it turns out at the end she's crazy, and she saws off his foot with a piano wire.
Yeah, it's quite a gruesome film, that one. Jeez.
And also talking about the grotesque things again. Well, it is grotesque is Jack Nicholson's sounds.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
what the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
Because we did allude to the fact that, like, oh, we've had his last line last minute, but we do get a solid couple of seconds of, like,
Well, it's so disconcerting to see him scared. Like, I think the only other time you see him like that is when he first sees Batman in the movie, when he's still Jack Napier. And it's like, it seems like every other minute you see him in the movie, he's completely self-assured and in control. And it's so sort of disorienting to see him like,
Actually, yeah, I was saying in a recent minute that that to me makes him more interesting. I like to see a villain change like that and actually be frightened in the end. He's
I
not
do
going
too.
out just, Batman defeats him in combat, that's the end. It's like, no, he's actually changed completely. He's genuinely like, oh God, no, I can't get out of this.
well, I mean, we do have, like, you might as well get into the alternate versions of this scene that play out in the various scripts. I don't know if did you look into the. I know, John, you tend to bring up the original drafts quite a bit. But
I usually do. That's normally my forte, but I did not for this one. No. I was trying to save a little bit of it, but go ahead with whatever you've got.
Oh no, but not to get into too many spoilers for what's about to happen, but like the Joker might not make it out of this so alive. So, but yeah, every version of the script I've come across has a different version of events here. Because as we spoke about before, this was rewritten as they went along, and they kind of come across this. This must have been a real final draft edition to be like, this is exactly how this scene is going to go down. Because in the original draft, it does have like a very beaten up, very physically worn down Batman reaches the top of the church tower, and then the Joker pulls off his mask and everything, and he's able to identify him as Bruce Wayne. And then Batman sort of grabs him, and then he launches a timer on his belt, which makes it very apparent that he's actually got a bomb with him. And his whole plan is it was like a suicide mission. He was going to kill the Joker and himself if necessary. And the Joker ends up panicking and running around, can't really do anything because the helicopter is it's a smidge too far away at the beginning. So he tries to get down the stairs again, but they've all collapsed. Runs up and eventually manages to reach the rope ladder. But at this point, because of the noise of the helicopter, a swarm of bats has been awakened within the cathedral, and they all swarm around him. And that causes him to sort of lose purchase, and that way he falls down to his
That's
down
pretty
to his
cool.
death.
I like that. That works for me.
Yeah, I like that
And
too.
then the the fifth draft, which was pretty close to the end, also has a slightly different version, because in both these versions, Vicky Vale isn't in the scene at all.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask, was Batman going to take Vicky out too with the bomb?
Oh no, Vicky just wasn't.
Okay.
She wasn't a player.
It's a necessary sacrifice.
But in the fifth draft, it has at one point they get into a kind of physical altercation. Batman ends up handcuffing himself to the Joker. The Joker manages to spray his acid onto the handcuffs and whatnot. Gets away with him. But him and Batman have a bit of a fight. There's banging him on the head and whatnot with this and that. And then eventually the helicopter again comes, and the Joker again gets on the rope ladder. But Batman has a sonar device, which once again summons a swarm of bats.
They really wanted to go with that idea, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I guess that features in Frank Miller's Year One, that he has a little sonar bit that he attracts bats through, and that's how he gets away at one point. And then it's used again in Batman Begins. Like, that's how he escapes Arkham Asylum, is by getting a sonar device that swarms of bats come and help him out. And with that, he actually goes over. It mentions that he walks through the swarm of bats, grabs the Joker, throws him up against the Gargoyle, which we now know, which apparently wasn't a gargoyle at all.
They don't know anything. What are they doing?
And then so weak is the Gargoyle that it actually falls off, and the Joker takes Batman down with him. And there's a whole big sort of tussle, much like a similar bit in the Arkham Origins video game, actually, where the two of them are falling down through the whole thing, kind of, down we go together and whatnot. And at the last second, Batman grapples, manages to get something, but the Joker continues to fall, and apparently he's laughing the whole way down, which is a different, iteration to what's what's happening with this guy. And like one addition I will add to the original draft bit, like not that draft I just talked about, the draft before that,
Jesus,
the one with the one with the bomb. I will say that after the Joker's dead, Batman then unhooks his belt and throws it up into the helicopter. So the helicopter blows up because you might as well kill everybody while he's at it.
That's amazing. That's a real Die Hard 4 movie.
Yeah.
Or like True Lies or something.
Yeah. I wonder if any of that was because they had trouble with the special effects for the bats. Like that seems like it would have been a hard scene to make in 1989.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Because there's some effects here. I'm not knocking the movie. I'm not insulting it. But there's some effects that really don't kind of hold up so well. Some of them are great, and then other ones are a little bit. And I think if they'd attempted that, it wouldn't have worked. I don't think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, like talking about like effects that don't quite work nowadays. One of them's coming right up, actually.
Yes, I know exactly which one it's going to be. We'll whet your appetite, listeners, for that one. It's coming. It's coming. Because as Joker, though, he falls slightly on the ladder because the weight of this is like it's killing him. And then he's dangling off that ladder. And when I was watching it for like the 20th time, the only thing I could think of was the 60s Batman scene with Batman on the ladder and the shark attacking him. So I just wanted even though he's in the sky, I just really wanted a shark to come out of nowhere.
It'll be like, there's a Sharknado heading towards Gotham at the time. And then that's the setup for the sequel. It's like Batman versus Sharknado. Like 20-odd years before Sharknado was even a thing.
Right. Although I'm not the biggest fan of Sharknado, right? Because I'm not that into bad movies that are deliberately bad movies. I like bad movies that don't know they're bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even so, I would pay anything to watch that crossover.
I'd love to see a Mythbusters or something do. I wonder if it's physically possible to be holding onto a rope ladder with a 100 or 200 pound weight on your ankle and to drop from one rung and catch the next.
Oh yeah,
like that's
that
some dexterity.
possible.
Yeah, that's
No
a
way.
that's a good move.
I will say a bit of admiration too for one of the other shots of him looking down, and it has this swaying shot of the Joker's POV.
Yeah,
Of like seeing like what the danger is here, as if it weren't apparent. And it does have it actually does have like it's almost kind of like a little bit vertigo inducing of kind of like, ooh, that does look like a very, very troublesome situation you're in right there, buddy.
Oh, very troublesome. That's like something I should be saying. That's very British. Oh, he's in quite a pickle.
We want me to be like, Begorra, James, you're not gonna get out of that one now, Sonny.
Yeah, we need more Irishisms from you now. Come on. Sorry, I am actually scared in this scene though. Like genuinely, I'm here watching it now, even knowing the finale, thinking like, how is he going to get out of this? And I find that interesting that it's made me feel that for the villain.
Yeah.
Because he's not like a villain with any redeeming qualities. But even so, I'm still like, oh God, oh no, this is horrible. Even he doesn't deserve to die like this.
I mean, I feel the sense of panic in him is quite palpable, but it is kind of like, well, they did try to poison like an entire city, so it's like,
no sympathy from Niall.
Yeah, screw him.
Although, like Dave Pallas said recently, like Batman just took that poison and sent it to the next town over. So
He didn't care. No.
Is Batman a good guy or a bad guy? Like I know he does good things, but he does every good thing completely outside of the law.
Yeah, that's the eternal debate, though, isn't it? In all the different kind of iterations, that always comes up. Like, is he good? Really? He means well. That doesn't necessarily mean he's doing well.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it's in this iteration, it's kind of like he's just a guy doing stuff. And if people should happen to get in the way, that's their too bad.
Good guys or bad guys, if you get in his way, you're screwed.
That means we did bring up way back when he blew up that Axis chemical plant. Could have been hundreds of innocent people in there. Didn't care, just blew it up anyway.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting in a way to see that they've gone back to that with the recent Batman iterations. With Ben Affleck, he just machine guns the crap out of everyone.
I don't know. I think they might sway away from it again though, out of bad reaction. I don't recall him massacring anybody in Justice League or anybody human at least. So.
True. It's mostly in the last one.
Yeah. But yeah, I think at this point we do get some more shots of the Joker sort of. It almost is a bit like you have to wonder what's going through his head though, because there's a shot of him just sort of staring off into the distance, kind of working his jaw, and you just do wonder if this is a kind of moment of like, this is it for me. Like there's pretty much no way out of this one.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, I'd be thinking, I hope I didn't leave the stove on. But then I was thinking, I bet the Joker's thinking, I hope I left the stove on.
His final joke.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sends a videotape in. The goons send in a videotape the next day. It was just like, when you were all out at that parade last night, I sneaked in and put all your ovens on. And then, like, everyone's like, oh, yeah, it was on when I got home. I just turned it off. It's like, oh, your gas prices are going to be slightly up this month.
I'd actually like it if when he falls and hits the ground, he actually just lands on top of Gordon and flattens Gordon. Because we don't need this Gordon.
Yeah, they get in his younger, mustachioed, more competent son, who also is called James Gordon, and it's just like, oh, this was the origin of the actual Commissioner Gordon the whole time.
Jim Jr., we need you.
You didn't think I was this idiot, did you? The guy who tried to move a 5-ton bell by himself as if he could do it, no problem.
That would be the best twist if right at the end they just bring in his son.
I mean, it'll be akin to the twist at the end of Dark Knight Rises, where it's just like, hey, turns out Joseph Gordon-Levitt was Robin the whole time.
Oh, my God. As we've said, though, sadly here, ladies and gentlemen, Joker, he falls. He slips. And the animation of him falling is interesting.
Do you think he slips, or do you think it's more of just let's go out of sheer, just like, I can't do this anymore? Like, what's... Is it the fingers just literally slipped off, or is it just more of a I can't take it, and then he just lets himself drop?
I thought he slipped, but I'm open to suggestions. So
yeah. So I mean, we don't get a close up in the hands, so it's kind of hard to make. But yeah, we do get him hurtling towards the ground here. And
the effects were interesting to me because. They're not bad. Don't get me wrong. I love any old school effect. It doesn't look 100% realistic, but it did make me think. It had a kind of Roger Rabbit vibe, or something, like with the way the animation's done in that.
The hands look kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was trying to look up what exactly this is to see, and shocking enough, couldn't really find anything. There is a page of people debating it, and they're going between. Is it claymation? Is it some kind of blue screen effect? Like, what exactly is it? Just simply like, to me, it just looks like it's a picture of Jack Nicholson, and then they've animated a body, and it just let's just zoom in. And they've actually got within that page like brightened GIFs, so you can see it, or GIFs the whole way.
Oh, don't start that debate again.
But the whole way down, and you do see, like, you can see that. As he gets further away, his face just becomes like a white blob, stuff like that just like stopped caring. And you actually notice the shadow work is very similar to the kind of rotoscoped hokey shadow work when we first were alluded to Batman way back in the beginning of the movie. So
yeah, I thought the same thing, exactly the same.
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of a weird bookend. I don't know if that was a deliberate thing, but
I don't know if it's deliberate. I think it's just this is the only effect they had to use in those two situations.
And of course, went to the commentary track by Tim Burton, and surprisingly enough, he doesn't tell you how it's done. He just looks at it and he says, "There's a few moments where I think the technology in this is shaky." And this is one of them. and then he just kind of goes like, the shaky technology kind of suits the material anyway. Like, he's just like,
fine. And I don't want to sound like I'm becoming an old man, but I still prefer it to CGI. So it's more interesting to me. Someone crafted this.
Yeah. I like it. It's almost like a piece of art.
Yeah. We don't need CGI for everything. We don't need CGI gophers at the start of movies, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will be getting to.
Yeah. Do you think the Joker thought he was invincible up to this point? Like, do you think this is his first realization that he's mortal? Because every scene before this, like even when he's standing there with that giant gun and Batman's flying at him, like he seems to have absolutely no fear of death, and it's almost like he thinks he's immortal.
Yeah. I mean, we were baffled by that scene at the time anyway, because within the script it says he's supposed to be dancing around kind of taunting Batman. Whereas in the movie, it's more like he's just standing there willing him to hit him, which doesn't make any sense with this Joker, because with Heath Ledger's Joker, it makes sense because he wants Batman to kill him to be like, oh, at least that way you still lose because you killed somebody.
Right.
But this version is just like, why is he just standing? Like, this Batman's already killed like 25 people. Why is he willing him to kill him? It doesn't make any sense. But
I get the impression that was Jack Nicholson. They probably said, right, Jack, you need to do your little jig now. And he was just like, no. He'd had a late night. He wasn't playing around. He's like, nope, I'll just stand here. It's fine.
It's been like I'll dance at the end of the movie. You're not getting 2 dances out of Jack. You're crazy.
That's double if you want to get 2. Yeah.
But this is actually, though, this whole fall business is actually the reunion of the Joker and his true arch nemesis, Gravity.
Gravity.
As we mentioned way back in Axis Chemicals, gravity's what screwed him over there.
Oh,
It's like, well, he fell into chemicals.
Yeah.
And then if you go through, like, so many of the Joker's defeats are always down to gravity. Like, it's bizarre.
Wow.
Because, again, this in The Dark Knight, also taken out technically by gravity. This whole business, actually, this entire scene is very similar to the ending of the comic storyline. Did Robin die tonight? From June 1987, when I was born, actually. Batman number 408, apparently.
Huh?
In which Batman fights the Joker on top of a large Gothic building while the latter is attempting to make a getaway. The Joker knocks Robin off over the battlements, forcing him to hang on for dear life. While Batman is distracted trying to help Robin, the Joker tries to make escape via a rope ladder dangling from a helicopter. And then he has a projectile thrown in his face, which causes him to lose his grip on the ladder and fall down. So, kind of what happens here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, then you get, even in the death of the family storyline, Scott Snyder one, gets knocked off a cliff. Gravity. The laughing fish, which was, a lot of this film was based on. Joker gets taken off by, falls into a large thing of water. Gravity. Again.
Wow.
And it's one of these things I've been actually desperately trying to find it. Because I'm certain the same shot is essentially used twice in the Batman animated series, where there's an episode. Was Mad Love is the one where it's the really famous episode from like the newer version where they did the redesign and all the animation, and it shows you the backstory between Joker and Harley Quinn. That's sort of like one of the big episodes. At the end of that, him and Batman are fighting on a train, and then Batman punches him. Joker falls off the train and into a giant smokestack, and I can swear that exact same shot of the smokestack and that exact same kind of death quotations is used in another episode with the old animation, but I can't find it. It's really, really bugging me because I've been trying to track it down, but I'm certain that it's the same exact shot.
Did you imagine this, Niall?
I don't know. I'm fairly certain there is. And then there is another episode where he's also taken out by gravity, where him and Batman are fighting on a roller coaster in Be a Clown, and the Batman, just kicks him off. Joker flies off into water. But I could have swore it was that one, but it's not. It's different thing. But I don't know. I'm sure someone out there is bound to be able to go like, oh yeah, this episode is big. But I was looking it up and I couldn't track it down. So.
Well, if anyone knows, give us a tweet and we'll credit you. We'll mention it on the show.
I went down kind of a gravity rabbit hole too, so I think that's interesting. You're bringing up gravity so much because it seems like there's a different gravity at work for the Joker and for Batman. Because the Joker falls all the way to the ground in like 2 seconds, and Batman and Vicki free fall for 14 seconds.
It's absurd. Like, surely Batman weighs more than the Joker. I mean, that outfit alone looks like it weighs a ton.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the Joker does have a couple of 100-pound grotesque attached to his leg, so maybe that's
well, yeah, but it seems like disproportionate. It doesn't seem right to me. I'm not very good. Someone else do the math, but
I did the math here. I was curious how fast Batman was falling, and so if you take acceleration of a free falling body due to gravity is 9.8 meters per second. And so Batman and Vicki are falling for at least 14 seconds. So that means by the end of this minute, they're falling at a speed of 137 meters per second, which is about 306 miles per hour or 493 kilometers per hour.
Whoa.
So a Formula One race car tops out at like 235 miles an hour. So he's going faster than a Formula One race car. The fastest bullet train is in Japan and goes 300 miles an hour, and he's going faster than that.
Faster than the bullet train?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's the fast, like the jumbo jets fly about 500 miles an hour. So he's slower than that, but still you're going faster than a bullet train and he's shooting out this non-elastic cable. So I'm guessing that whoever gets the next minute is going to get quite a tragedy.
I was thinking that myself. Surely that would rip your arms right off.
That'll be like the spoilers for old Spider-Man comics, but the death of Gwen Stacy is essentially down to well, that is kind of an elastic thing because it's the webbing, but it's her falling, and then because of the way she's grabbed and the sudden stop, that's what snaps her neck, as I recall. I think they use it in the Amazing Spider-Man too. It's one of the better scenes in the movie. But
that sounds awesome.
It's like, so everyone enjoys the death of Gwen Stacy, John. You should really look into it.
And I'm so happy that you did the math there. That was fantastic. That's my new favorite thing on the show.
Thank you. But think about that. If you're going 306 miles an hour and you stop instantly, you're not going to be feeling so good afterwards.
And we've seen that the way that hook works, it does instantly stop him as well. There is no kind of give to it, really, only like a tiny, tiny bit. So yeah, oh Jesus. And I love the way as well he does it just so casually. Batman doesn't look remotely concerned that he's falling. He just gets that out, fires it off.
The only thing that would save him is if somehow his cape acts as like an air brake. And he's going more slowly, but it doesn't.
It does that in video games, but he's never done that in this film.
Yeah.
I think you do see a kind of like a cape glider system in Returns, but no,
right.
in this one the cape seems to be entirely there just to do the old Bela Lugosi cape routine, pretty much.
And why not? We all love doing that.
I'm slightly gutted though that they've never utilized the grappling hook. I don't know if you guys remember like the toys of Batman that came out, but like his grappling hook was his entire belt. You took off the entire belt, and there was a little grappling, like a little string inside. It wasn't that long, let me tell you. But it would have been great if Batman just literally just grabbed his crotch and then ripped off the entire front of the belt and flung it up. And then it's just like, this is what I use, totally.
Sadly, that is the end of the action for the minute, but we do have a few other things we would like to ask and point out, I'm sure, Niall. First and foremost, but knowing that we would have you on, Pete, the only thing I could think of watching this was I would have liked to see Kim here playing Willie Scott.
Oh,
I think she would have played the part quite well. Not that there was anything wrong with the actress who played
with
her.
Kate Capshaw. Yeah. No, I think she would have been a good one too.
I mean, I don't like the character. Don't get me wrong.
I was just gonna, my counter to that would be like, I prefer just to see nobody play. I prefer to just not feature in the film at all.
I mean, I don't hate the character with a passion or anything, but I don't like the character either. She's a whatever. But I think it would have been interesting. You could have retooled the character slightly. I think she would have been good in the part because throughout this whole process of analyzing this movie, we've really come to like her acting. Actually, we were quite surprised, both of us, I think.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. Yeah, she was sort of a nice surprise. I haven't seen this movie in a long, long time. And rewatching it, there were a couple of little revelations, and that was one of them.
Another one to bring up while you're here as well, Pete, because I can't even remember who we had on for the minute, but it might have been Brady Crane, I think. But we did come across the fact that like there's obviously different iterations of what this movie was going to be while it was in development hell. And apparently at one point Spielberg was toying with a Batman movie.
Wow.
And one of the big things like he had things like, it was like Dennis Quaid for Batman. It's like, yeah, fair enough. And the biggest one was that we just couldn't buy was he was pitching Harrison Ford for the Joker. And it's just like,
oh my God.
What? Like that doesn't... Like he knows him. He knows him personally. So he might be like, Harrison's like a laugh riot. Of course he could do the Joker. But to us, the people, it's just like, no. No.
It would have been very different.
Yeah, just like a grumpy Joker.
Well, I love the way Harrison has, of course, the reputation for being grumpy. And all of his current roles don't seem to do anything to sort of go against that. Like, he's coming back to his old franchises and putting no effort in and looking miserable the whole time.
Well, that's the weird thing. Like, if Blade Runner, Star Wars, and the Crystal Skull, all of the late movies he's in, he just seems to be the same guy. It's just old Harrison Ford.
Yeah, yeah. Even down to his clothing. Like in Blade Runner, he just turned up in jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The least Blade Runner outfit you could imagine.
I remember when I seen like the promo pictures for that, and I was convinced like it must have been that he showed up and he's like, I'm not getting in a costume.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what I'm wearing. Like he literally still has his morning cup of coffee in his hands, and they had to Photoshop it out or something.
And I love that movie, so I'm allowed to make fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too, and I agree.
I mean, like down the line, like once all the hype and all is like burned away, and then like Denis Villeneuve will come out and be like, I should tell everybody that Harrison Ford was a grumpy son of a bitch that entire time, and he was not supposed to be wearing that T-shirt. We gave him an entire freaking costume, and he refused to wear it.
Well, do you think he would have played the Joker that way? Because I do think he would have played the Joker that way.
Yeah, in the 80s, though, maybe he might have had a bit more of a joie de vivre about him. I'm like, well, no, I'll put in the effort. But, nah, I can't, because I really can't imagine him as Batman either. Because you'd be like, oh, why wouldn't he play the hero? But you can't imagine Harrison Ford being asked to put on this outfit. Like, he would have been just like,
no, you know what? I can picture it. I can picture it. And the reason I can is just anytime you see Bruce Wayne as Bruce Wayne, you know, he's dressed up, he's wearing a really fancy suit and stuff. I could see Harrison doing the Bruce Wayne aspect at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
can see that
look at
too.
him in Temple of Doom with the white tux on. That's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that too. But I have a hard time seeing him as the Joker. I can see Danny DeVito as a Joker better than I can see Harrison Ford as a Joker.
No, you know what? Yeah, if he didn't, of course, come in the second movie.
Right,
Spoiler
right.
alert.
Right.
I think he could have played the Joker quite well. Not even that different. Only
Right.
different in height.
Yeah.
To be fair, like I just have a want to see Danny DeVito play all parts.
I do too.
Like,
I do too.
I'll be like, yeah, if they pitched it now, I'll be like, oh yeah totally, whatever.
Well, so Vicky Vale, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I remember there was a time where like people were legitimately saying that Danny DeVito should have played Wolverine, and like not even joking about it. They're like, Wolverine's supposed to be like a short, angry, hairy guy. That's Danny DeVito, and people did photoshops, and I was like, yeah, oh well, yeah, I'll watch it. Like if you put
You
that,
could see it.
if it's now they're like, oh no, like Disney owns Fox now, so we're doing X-Men again. We're bringing in DeVito for Wolverine. I wouldn't be the only person going yes, because apparently there's a fan base out there who longs for this. But
Oh my god, that's blown my mind.
And he was originally up for Sala in Raiders of the Lost Ark that I think would have been fantastic too.
oh,
Yes. And Pete, since we're talking about, well, we were talking about the Joker, we ask a lot of our guests this. Basically, do you think that Jack Nicholson is a handsome man? Because Niall grew up assuming everybody thought he was sexy and handsome for some reason, and I'm baffled by this. So, do you think he's supposed to be a handsome guy?
Wow. That's hard. Because I think I grew up like Niall as well.
yeah. Oh, thank God.
There has been a divide on this,
I
definitely.
must say I've been getting a few more of them in recent times, and it's been all men who have been like, because we had two different guys on a couple of weeks back, and one of them was just like, oh God, no, and the other fellow was like, yeah, totally, yeah, I always assumed he's supposed to be a sexy guy. I think maybe it's just our male perception is like, yes, this guy's supposed to be like a sex machine, cool, suave, son of a gun. And whereas the female guests have very firmly fallen between no, not a chance in hell to yeah, maybe, like
Yeah, but even the women who think maybe say, yeah, but he's really sleazy and creepy, but I'm into that.
Well, I'm thinking back to like 5 Easy Pieces, and he had kind of almost like a Burt Reynolds vibe going on in that.
I do wonder if he had died at a younger, like mid 80s. Or maybe not even, maybe if he died at the end of the 70s, would he have this sort of almost like a James Dean reputation of like, oh yeah, young, handsy, sexy Jack Nicholson, like, oh, he played all these cool parts and stuff. Whereas now we've grown to see him fall into like sleazy psycho roles and stuff.
Right.
Where it's become like synonymous, like, oh, Jack Nicholson, yeah, he's a bit skeevy and stuff. And
Right.
now, because the age he is nowadays, and you've seen him out on, paparazzi photos of him with his, his boobs out and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, it's getting worse and worse with
Yeah.
every passing year. I do wonder if had he died, when he was young, would he have this reputation as like, oh yeah, screen god, Jack Nicholson? Whereas he still will be regarded as a screen god because he is beloved by a lot of people. So. Yeah, it's just one of those things. If we go somehow manage to master interdimensional technology, I'll bet. Can you find me the dimension where Jack Nicholson died in like 1979 or something?
That's a horrible thing to want.
But then the thing is, after that, it would be like, well, who was playing the Joker? Was Robin Williams playing the Joker in that universe? Then, like, what happened there?
Oh, I could totally see that. Yeah.
But yeah, actually, Pete, now be the time as well. If you want to like go into your own history with the movie, like, do you remember the first time you saw this? And like, you know, do you have any fond memories of like Batman in your life, or were you not fussed about it at all, or what's the deal, man?
Well, my first memories of Batman were the color forms. I don't know if you guys remember they were like, you guys might be a little young for these, but back in like the late 70s and early 80s, they had these. They were kind of like vinyl, almost like stickers, and you'd have a big sheet of vinyl that would have drawings of Gotham City on it, and then you'd have like different body parts of Batman and Robin and the Joker and the Penguin, and you could have them like fighting, and you could have you put these kind of vinyl stickers on this, and you could move them around, and you could make your own Batman scenes.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I've just looked them up. I know what these are. Yeah, they did still have these when we were kids. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was my first introduction. And I never got into the comic book so much, but I always had these fond memories. And I think I saw Batman when it came out in the theater. And it didn't resonate with me at the time, but like watching it again now, I'm like, God, this is amazing. Like I love like Tim Burton's style in it and the sort of noir Art Deco kind of vibe, and I think it's amazing.
It's interesting to see the sort of passage of time with this movie, because when it came out it was huge, and then after a few years people started kind of dissing it, and they didn't really like it that much, said it's kind of, you know, it's just a comic book movie, blah blah blah. And now it's gone the other way again. People are like, oh no, it's actually a really good movie. Like people are reevaluating it now that the Dark Knight trilogy's over. And they see that it actually compares favorably because it's so different.
Yeah. Yeah. And it felt to me, like watching it again, it felt like watching a comic book more than a lot of, you know, modern superhero movies do, which I really liked. I thought that was a really nice touch. Like it felt like a different world than the one we live in.
Like, would you prefer it like overall to like the Nolan films, or?
I think so. Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
Ooh, controversy.
Yeah, we've seen though, like since we've even started the show, we've seen a lot more of these random articles just appearing, going like, "Let's reevaluate Tim Burton's 1989 Batman movie and how great it is and stuff." It seems to be like, yeah, it's a real cultural shift coming back to this thing. I'm like, oh, this was great.
yeah, and deservedly so, because it's fantastic.
It is. Yeah.
I still want to find some guy though who was there at the time and had like the bat symbol shaved in to his hairline and stuff. Like, so apparently there is like old news footage of people doing that. Like the people going like, "This movie's opening today," and then it cuts to like a barber shaving the bat symbol into people's heads. It's like, one of them's got to be out there. Come on, like, why you just go on Twitter and just be like, which one of you people had like a bat symbol shaved in their head at any given moment?
When we finish the show now, we should get the bat symbol tattooed on our heads, surely. That would be, like the Lord of the Rings crew did, but not on their head. Where did they get it? Their wrist, their ankle, something like that?
I think it was the ankle, yeah.
So we'll do that on our head.
The thing is, I usually wear a hat anyway, so I'm just like, oh, you go right ahead, John. It's like, you'll have to deal with the daily repercussions. Like, I'll work from home, man. I get clean away with it.
And now all the guests have to get one as well. So Pete, you've got to get a tattoo.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Hey.
It'd be great though if you had to do that for like every Movies by Minutes.
Oh God, yeah.
Show you're on. And you see like Crystal Beth just becomes like some sort of like walking tattoo woman.
Yeah, she looks like those 1930s circus tattoo lady. Like she just be covered head to toe in Movies by Minutes tattoos. But speaking of like covered from head to toe, I do remember when this came out, like, because Last Crusade came out at the same time, the same year, and I remember that sort of, you saw some product tie-ins, but Batman was everywhere that year.
Yeah.
Like I remember
Doing
Taco
the
Bell
research
and like
is crazy.
yeah, and I just remember seeing like the Batmobile, like it was everywhere.
didn't actually realize, because you guys are, well, at this point you will have started Last Crusade. So it's like, oh, we're kind of, it's like we're in direct competition. No,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well, no, I doubt it. We can't.
like, let's
compete
look up
with
who grossed more. Who grossed more? Come on.
But this felt like a bigger cultural event than Last Crusade at the time. Like it felt like everywhere you looked, there was Batman product merchandising and tie-in stuff.
that. That's interesting. Do you think it's because Last Crusade? It's like it's just it's the third Indiana Jones movie, and it'd been a while. You know, do you think people were just kind of not bored of it, but it wasn't as exciting now?
I think a little bit, and I think like a lot of the people that were the like sort of the magic age when Raiders came out were a little bit older, and it didn't have that same kind of magic that, you know, like little kids and Batman would have.
Yeah, yeah. Although we've found it very strange doing this, that this movie was targeted, you know, to children. Because there's a lot of things in it that are not really for kids.
Yeah, yeah. I was noticing that watching it. Yeah.
It's a very dark and complex storyline with the gangster plots and things like this.
Yeah, yeah.
I've just looked it up. I have to say, in 1989 overall box office domestic grosses, Tim Burton's Batman, 251,188,924. Ooh, Jesus, that's a big number. Followed immediately by Last Crusade, 197 million. So suck it, Mummert.
Can I ruin our show by saying I think I like Last Crusade more?
What? Oh, you fucking turncoat.
Don't tell the listeners.
To go through the list, because there's so many twos in here. Because I got that's followed Lethal Weapon 2. Then
big year.
down the line, Back to the Future 2, immediately followed by Ghostbusters 2.
Oh wow, yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
Well, Batman was kind of the first new thing that year. Like everything else seemed like a sequel.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I don't care what anyone says about some of them. All good sequels to me. All good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
I'll defend Ghostbusters 2 with my life. But anyway, speaking of Indiana Jones, Pete, I'm sure our good listeners know your show and have listened to it, but would you like to tell them where they can find you and your wonderful work, just in case?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you could find us at indianajonesminute.com, and we kind of copied what you guys are doing with Batman, and find our podcast where you find Batman 89. Bat Minute 89.
You didn't copy us.
That was kind of weird. It's like, I thought you came like way before us.
we most definitely copied you. But yes, make sure to check it out if you haven't. I'm sure you have. And make sure to check us out at the Batman 89 Listeners Society on Facebook. We didn't think of an imaginative name. And we are also on Twitter at Batman 89. And give us a review on iTunes. That's always very helpful. And review Indiana Jones Minute while you're there. Review us all. We could all do with it. It's very helpful. And join us again. I need to edit this out, Niall. Is this a Monday episode? It is.
No, this is Friday.
This is Friday, see? Leave it in, actually. It's more amusing. Join us again on Monday. Because we will be back with more Batman and minute 115, believe it or not. See you then.
Next time, a post-mortal chortle. As his metabolic processes cease to be, the Joker is still emanating sounds of glee. But exactly what form of post-mortem mirth does the malicious ex-Mary Andrew have in the bag? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.